everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spotlight on CS Ops, where we dig into folks that are in CS Ops and what they do. I'm here with my co-host, Matthew Lind. Hi, Matthew.
Hello, Jean. Great to see you.
And today we have the wonderful pleasure to talk to Pedro Gonzalez Adolfi. He is coming to us from Spain today. He's currently a CS Ops manager at a company called Lighthouse and was previously at another company called Jeff, where he ran Gainsight and some of the CS Ops functions there as well. So thank you for joining us today, Pedro, from all the way from Spain. I know it's super late there, so I appreciate you joining at such a late time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity. Fun.
So I am curious. Sometimes we hear CS ops, sometimes we'll hear Gainsight admin, and I think that sometimes people perceive those to be the same thing. I happen to be of the opinion they're not necessarily the same thing. But before I lead the witness too much farther, tell us what your role is. Is it more CS ops or Gainsight admin? How do you see them to be similar or different? So just help us out with what your day looks like, or evening, as the case may be.
Yeah, so right now what I feel I'm doing, what I think I'm doing is more CS ops because not only I'm building things within Gainsight and all of that, the administrative part within Gainsight, but I'm actually involved in deciding things for the different business processes. So I get called from, I don't know, the account management team, finance, and when they want to do something that involves our customers, I'm usually one of the persons within that meeting, just at least having a say or trying to help understand things, how we can help them do something and not just through the technical part, it's big picture. Yeah, more strategy wise. Um, in my previous role that says CRM or B2B CRM manager or something like that, that was more, hey, we need to build this. And that were the type of requests. We need to build this access plan like this. Now I need to have a CTA for this. And I wasn't involved in any decision making before.
Oh,
Nobody asked me, hey, what do you think on how you want to, I don't know, track the impact or whatever.
yeah.
Those things came like today for tomorrow. Hey, I want to be able to measure this, but if you had told me a month before, I would have built it differently. Those type of things are the things that usually came up when you're just admin, and not involved in everything. So that's why I
So
like CS ops more.
I would think so. I would think so, especially being able to, have more say or more influence, if you will. Now, there's a number of people who watch this who are Gainsight administrators, CSP administrators at least, or maybe Salesforce, which you also hold that credential. So
Okay.
did you strategize when you change positions? Like, I would like to not be the order taker any longer, and I would like to have more influence. Or did you look for roles? What I'm really hoping you'll share with us is like, advice do you have to people who would like to make a similar transition away from order taker, I need it yesterday, into like, here's an idea. How should we proceed next?
So basically my approach was uh, not be afraid to make a mistake, to have an opinion and be told, yeah, that's not going to work, or A or B. So I started doing that even before I was a Gainsight admin at Jeff in my previous roles as another life, field service engineer, team leader in healthcare, nothing. But I was always very involved in the process and focused on that. So I started to work on my actual fear of making a mistake and saying, hey, I think we should do it this way because A and B. That was the way that I started training myself on actually having those ideas, telling people about how I wanted that to look like. And then when I got to the point that I went to transition from Jeff to Lighthouse, and I was told, hey, this is a business case that you need to present. I had to build everything because they were looking for someone more CSOPsy. I
CS
was
Opsy.
kind of CSOPsy, yeah. So I was already trained, let's say. I was already in my mind, I had the exercise of, hey, I'm going to build everything from scratch the way I like it. And if it's wrong, it's wrong, and somebody will tell me about it. And I've been told that what they like is what's my response to them saying, telling me, hey, I don't like this. What would you do instead of this? And I could pivot easily because I was used to people telling me, I don't like this, I don't like that, or because I trained myself to, don't worry, if it's bad, move on, next one. It's like in sports, it's the next point, the one that matters.
Mhm. I
I
like.
think that would be my biggest advice. Train yourself to actually be able to do what you want to do. The opportunity will come around if you look.
And it's so true. Like I find like it's so difficult to ask someone what do they want, but if you can show them something, they'll quickly say, well, I like that, I don't like that piece or whatever. So it can get the party started, or it can kind of move you forward. So I really like that. Like aside from um, just trial and error, like was there any other resources or things that you learned from? Like I know you're an ad, you've been a very big contributor in the Gainsight community, so you must have learned quite a bit through there as well. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
is there anything that like how did this start?
So actually, it started before I came to Spain when I was a team lead in a healthcare company. I worked at Philips, and basically my team was going out and fixing MRIs, X-ray system, and I was doing that too. And my biggest issue with that type of job was I was always putting out fires. And with every manager, it was always the same thing. We need to be faster at solving, and there was no actual planning ahead. And hey, what are we going to do in 2 weeks, in a month? No strategy from our point of view. Yeah, there was a high level strategy, but our job was to put out fires. Then came a manager that gave me the actual room to say, hey, I have a project that we're going to pair up with some of our biggest customers, ones that want to work with us, and see how we can help them use our systems better. So now I was starting to do like I didn't know, but it was kind of the role of a CSM. I was sitting down with them, what is value to you? They started teaching me about lean management and everything about that, and waste. And everything that I was doing was focused on what the customer needed and when did they need it. We started changing reports, we started strategizing. Yeah, we need to put out fires, but what else can we do while your system is working? How can we help you achieve success? Basically, they made me realize that all that part of the process was what I liked. I started working with finance, logistics, a whole bunch of teams that I didn't know anything about. And I kind of fell in love with that type of thing. I think that's where most of my experience came from before I was actually introduced to, hey, this is Gainsight, and there's actually a place for people that want to do what you want to do. This is actually a thing.
Yeah. What's your advice when you're partnering with teams, and you just said it, that you don't know a lot about? They're like, oh, I need you to partner with finance, and then they come in with, I don't know, so a bunch of requirements, or maybe a bunch of lingo even that you're not familiar with. Or like, what's your advice to partner cross-functionally, or when you're working on a project and you're like, you actually are maybe a little behind when it comes to the subject matter expertise?
Yeah, so this is something that actually stresses me out a lot because of how I am. I want to know things. I'm very curious, but at the same time, it's always been hard for me not knowing. But I force myself to be the most ignorant person in the room. So I started asking questions every single time. I don't know something. Hey, explain this to me. How does this work? And step by step, take me through it. Imagine that I don't know anything. And I usually said that during meetings. Imagine I don't know absolutely nothing about finance. Talk to me like I'm a baby. And even with those types of first questions, we always found something that they were taking for granted, and we could actually change to make it better. It
Hmm.
was the classic, this was always done like this, and why should we change this? And I think it's my best tool working with other teams. I never go in thinking I know because I probably don't. Like 95% of the time, I don't know anything. So yeah, again, not be afraid to be the one that makes a mistake. It's not that I'm not afraid, it's that I force myself to to actually do it, even though I'm afraid.
That sounds cool. Is there any of the like how do you structure when you take those things and you're working through initiatives, like do you have any methodologies for how you structure the work that you guys are doing in or that you're doing in CS ops that you'd recommend to others?
No, actually, I'm trying to find a good one for me. So yeah, I don't have a structure, and that is one of the things that I should keep on working on. My meetings are usually more informal than anybody else's. So it's a very honest, transparent type of talk, brainstorming the best way, freest way. Now, I usually have to go back to my manager that usually helps me a lot with this and say, hey, I have this bunch of information. Help me follow up on this, next steps. I usually try to do my first take on how I would structure things.
Mhm.
And yes, I have my list of minimum things that I would want to know from another team when they ask me for something. I don't know how you want to measure it. What does success look like for this type of initiative? What is the basic thing that you would want to see? And usually I ask them, okay, take me to your very most basic idea and take me to your utopia. So I try to structure those two views, and I'm always landing in the middle because technical problems, some data is not clean enough, whatever. Then all of that, I try to actually structure it into a Jira ticket or something. I try to implement something like that. Our Jira ticketing is not the best, but it's working for now because I'm the only one in my company, and it's me and my manager. When we're more people, probably I will need to improve it, or we will need to improve it. I will probably ask the other person to help.
I'm sort of
That's
hearing, it's very agile of you, um, which I know you would very likely embrace too. It's like, well, I don't have the full framework yet, and maybe the three of us should drop into a working session here about frameworks for. But until we do that, you're like, oh, I've got a system. It works well enough.
Yeah,
And someday I'll improve it when the necessity arises. But until then, we're making
yeah,
progress. We're having impact.
yeah. I have a natural need to make things kind of perfect when I start building in theory. Then my brain takes me to, okay, yeah, but this needs to be done by, I don't know, Friday. So what's the best practical way to get this working, it's the same thing with everything. Okay, what's the basic thing that I need for ticketing right now? This, and that. It works. Cool. Let's review it in 6 months. And that's it. Yeah.
So give us a sense, like, so you're in Spain. I assume, I don't know what Spain, like what the rest of the Gainsight community is out there like. But is CSOpsing or being CSOpsy, as you put it earlier, the same in Spain as it is in, other parts of the world? Like, are you working on, similar initiatives to drive expansions and renewals, or give us a sense about, what are some of the things you might be working on?
Uh, okay, so hard question. Um, I don't know if it's the same. I know that we're with a lot of things like when we implemented Gainsight and stuff like that. Every time you see someone in Europe, we're a bit late to the party compared to the US. You see a lot of people in the US having a lot more experience in that. But also, when I need to implement something, it's a global company, and I have to think by region. For example, I need to tailor my content probably to the US, to LATAM, to EMEA. So I think that companies that are in EMEA are a bit different on how they structure their content. And if you find a company in APAC, it's going to be completely different. I have had to tailor things all different way, more direct messaging, stuff like that. So I think it may, even if you're in the US, I think the issue is where your customers are. I don't know if me being in Valencia it would affect my job in Lighthouse because our customers are everyone. So it's not that problem. In terms of peers, um, well, we're fewer here, so when we do have to have a meetup, it's we're fewer, but we all know each other, and my wife is a Gainsight admin, so I always have someone to reach out to
Must
easily.
make the
I was
meetups
gonna
a little
say,
bit
can we meet
easier.
up at dinner. CS
Yeah,
ops
we
meet
have to.
6
Are
o'clock
you
at a dinner table.
are you the
Yeah,
ops
very
guy?
strict rules not to talk about Gainsight 24 hours a day because we both love what we do. So
I can
yeah.
imagine. Yeah, that would be gotta create some boundaries. Are you basically like are there other people in Valencia that you know that do Gainsight or
No, I don't think there's anyone in Spain. Uh, but we know, I don't know, Alice in France, and so I, now I don't have anyone's name at the top of my mind, but I think there
Okay.
was one in
Who's watching
Israel.
in Spain and is the inside administrator, comment. I'll point as if it's here. Comment down below because there's at least 2 more that want to meet you.
I love the
Exactly.
fact, by the way, I love the fact that you're married to a Gainsight admin. I can't wait to hear the stories of your children and what they're going to be doing in the future. But you're probably the first that I know of, anyways, that two spouses being married or together. And do you know of anyone else, Matthew?
Dude, there are at least
There are others?
2 more couples that
Wow.
come to mind, which when you think about the Gainsight universe not being especially large, that's sort of remarkable to me that now I know
Yeah.
three pairs of people who
Wow.
are married and also working in the Gainsight universe actively.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is not a coincidence. She started first and I liked what she was doing, so I thought, oh, hey, I need to learn this. This is cool.
Do you get to sometimes, I assume you hang up the phone with work and then you go ask your ask your wife, how would you build this? Like, have you ever done this? I'm curious.
We have brainstorming sessions sometimes, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I actually told my manager, you're paying me, but you have an admin and a half, because sometimes I will ask her.
An admin and a half. I have said to folks when I'm interviewing for whatever, I'm like, yeah, I bring a whole community with me, but I can't say that I bring a spouse with me as well. So I mean,
This
Gotta
is
work
a
on
bit
that,
faster,
Matthew.
but yeah.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Give us a prediction. We ask our guests this a lot. Give us a prediction about CS ops or Gainsight administration. Like, what do you see in the tea leaves? What do you see down the road for our industry?
I honestly have no idea because I started in 2 years ago. So I can tell you what I would like.
Yeah.
Um, all this focus on AI, um, it's extremely good. I have friends that have been coding AI, and machine learning, and all of that for at least 10 years. They are at the top of their game, and the things that they can do, it's amazing. So I would really like AI to tackle, for example, contact cleanup, things that are not just customer facing, but it would actually make a big impact on everything that we want to do. Contact cleanup is the first one that I have in my mind because it's always the hardest. And every time that I ask anyone, it's like, yeah, 50% is fine, but the rest is work in progress. So I would let that, we're always talking about the right message at the right time to the right person, but the right person is very hard to find.
I love that idea. I would just put the bots on data as a whole. I know contacts, yes. And then every time I hear dirty data, I want to put AI up against it. That would be a dream universe. Like tell me where we think where this data is supposed to be, or how do
Yeah,
we tackle cleaning it?
Find the real
exactly.
human in data records. Yeah, I always say like, yeah, we've got multiple records representing one single human, and we're attacking because we have multiple representation of the same individual human. So yeah, if the bots can help us, if the robots can help us find the human in the data,
Yeah,
that
I will have them sleeping with me. I don't mind.
that's fantastic. Well, it's been, an absolute pleasure, like just getting to know you and getting to hear about Gainsight and CS Opsing in Spain. Um, any last minute thoughts or any other kind of feedback or things that you would recommend to um, folks who are just like getting into the space, or people that are maybe in Spain that are thinking about getting into the space?
Yeah, I was a biomedical engineer, and I was fixing X-ray systems and MRIs. Even if you think you don't have the skill set, you bring something different to the table. That's the main thing. The tool, you will learn about it, but the rest, we need different people working in this because all of our customers are different. That would be my advice there. Don't stop short of trying to get into this.
What a great piece of advice. I mean, how encouraging and how inspirational is that? Like, yeah, you belong here. Bring your background in the door. So many of us in CS and CS ops have all these varied backgrounds, but I think you might be the first biomedical engineer that I've met in my journey, and yet you bring something so rich to the community from that experience, and you mix it into the pot, and you see what happens next. So amazing,
Thanks.
amazing. Well, Pedro, it's been a pleasure. I feel like now that we're almost done, I feel like we should have had your partner, your wife on as well.
I know, I was gonna.
I would have been curious, or maybe we'll talk to her separately and plan,
You
see
should
what
have done your research. You're not a PI.
our AI did not uncover
Pick that up.
this
Yeah.
fact about you.
Yeah,
But
But
I've
it's
done
been
my work with social media.
now that we know three couples, I don't know, apparently like this should be a thing. There should be a series now where we just talk to spouses, and what are the boundaries, and how do you stop talking about Gainsight at the dinner table?
right.
I,
We're probably
I
Yeah.
pretty close
my
to a
spouse is
reality show
not
at this point.
my wife is not in Gainsight, but I still or in CS Ops. I have no boundaries. I still seem to talk to her all the time about it, but
Yeah.
Well, Pedro, it's been great to chat with you today. Thank you for staying up late, late, late there in Spain. And man, we'll get this out. I know everyone will enjoy it, and appreciate your time tonight.
thanks for joining
Thanks.
us.
Thanks for having me. Really, it was fun.